There. All right. It's time.
I think I like this little life.
A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. Probably when I wonder if in like 50 years we're gonna look back at this book and be like, that was the most controversial book of the times. I read this book, I think, about 3.5 years ago. It was the summer where I turned 19, and it quickly became one of my favorite books ever. But it is about a group of friends, a group of 4 men who kind of just like lived their little life. But they are bombarded with trauma and they are tortured, put through the worst shit imaginable. I honestly don't know what I liked about this book so much. I think it was mainly the writing. I had never encountered writing like this in my life. I was blown away by how this 800-page book could be entirely made up of words that felt so intentional, perfectly crafted sentences, but the writing also felt very free and almost diary-like. I do genuinely believe that this book was written with the intention to destroy the heart, mind, and soul of the reader. I think even the way it's structured, I remember thinking how devious it was, because the first couple 100 pages you really fall in love with these characters, and you fall in love with their dynamics and their friendship and their families. I'm gonna blow my nose. This is my body. This is my body's way of telling me to like I'm allergic. Like it's like, do not read this fucking book again, bitch. That's what my body's saying to me right now. Okay. But then the last like 75% is just absolutely destroying these characters, and through that, destroying the reader. Recently, I've been having this urge to pick it back up and reread it. I don't know what's compelling me to do this. I think that, you know, it's winter, and normally I hate winter. I become miserable. I am currently miserable. Today's the first snow of the season. Sneezing. I feel like every year whenever winter rolls around, I immediately just reject it and get super depressed. But I want to learn to move and change and transform with the seasons. So instead of trying to not be miserable, I'm just gonna go for it. You know what I mean? Like, I am just going to balls to the wall, peel back the folds, and just climb right into the depths of depression. And and this book will get me there. I feel like on the internet, this book has also kind of become like a challenge to see how one reacts to the trauma and sadness that this is. Often people will sob and have like big, crazy, awful, horrible reactions, because this is no joke. It's not some like trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. If you're watching this and you're thinking about reading it, I honestly would say don't read it. The first time I read it, I cried a tiny bit. There's like a pretty big thing that happens in the last 100 pages, and when that hit, literally, if you know, you know, I teared up a tiny bit. I'm not a crier. I really do feel like I'm not super sensitive. I think that I feel a lot of things, but I've learned to like bottle up my my emotions, just like not show them, because, well, whatever. Vulnerability is like my kryptonite. I hate it. But I also do feel like since 18, I'm 22 now, I've grown a lot, and I've been working on being like more in tune with my emotions, and I'm also like way happier. Like, I know I said that I was just miserable, but bitch, 4 years ago, I don't even want to talk about that. So yeah, like now I feel a lot more freedom to be vulnerable and emotional, but I'm also like 100 times happier than I was when I was 18. So I'm curious to see how my psyche now will react to this book. So yeah, I'm gonna start it right now. I'm gonna try to read the first part, Lispenard Street, which reading that name, I'm already having memories of all the happy, fun stuff that goes on in this chapter. So tonight I want to make it to page 95, which is the beginning of part 2. cute. I'm gonna wear the fuck out of this. Oh, I forgot I got this. I'm about to start part 2 called The Postman. I love this book. There's like a part of me that kind of wanted to hate it for some reason, which I also do. I do hate it. But it's like, I was kind of trying to decide whether or not I wanted to do like a spoiler full video on this book. And I was going back and forth being like, okay, like that video would fucking eat though. Like I don't think anyone's done it yet, fully explaining and exposing the plot of this book, because I feel like if you haven't read it, it is quite elusive. But then I realized what that would entail, what filming a spoiler full video on this book would be. It would be me sitting here being like, so then he was sex trafficked and by a priest for a couple of years, then then so-and-so's disabled brother with cerebral palsy passes away in a really horrific way. This baby dies, and then this baby dies too. He loses both of his legs. Oh, and then this one is repeatedly over and over and over and over again. They try to commit suicide. Oh, and then they tried to commit suicide, yes. And then this person also tried to commit suicide. And then this one does commit suicide. And then this one over here, yeah, when he grows up, becomes a chemistry teacher to high school students, and then he gets lung cancer and is going to die. To leave money behind for his family, he starts cooking and selling meth. I just don't think I have like the seriousness and poise in my bones to film a video like that. I think what I'm really loving so far in this is Willem and Jude, their relationship, their friendship. Knowing what I know about how this ends, seeing these moments between Willem and Jude is like the best thing ever, honestly. And I can see what Hanya Yanagihara is kind of like foreshadowing and hinting at. Whereas when the first time I read this, I didn't catch those moments as being anything significant. And it honestly makes it so much better knowing how these characters' relationship grows and what it grows into. And it also makes how this book ends so much more devastating, but also like beautiful. Like these moments of joy between these characters are so beautiful and genuinely like magical. And for some reason, it just seems so much more powerful knowing how this book ends and knowing what these characters are yet to experience. But I'm just gonna start reading and we'll see where the night takes us. Oh! Why would somebody write this? Like... Okay, so I just finished part 2. I'm currently on page 243, so I'm like 30% done. I am living. I'm loving this so much. One thing I've noticed is my like reading abilities have improved so much, because I feel like the first time I read this, I had like a pretty hard time with the language, I suppose, or maybe it was a bit advanced for me as an 18-year-old. But now I'm just flying through this shit. And I'm also understanding a lot more references. One thing that I love that authors sometimes do in their books is they will like infuse little tidbits, or I don't know, it's something that people I feel like would hate. Like The Secret History is another one of my favorite books, and Donna Tartt does this in that a lot. Just like random academic or like historical bullshit that is just like thrown in there that you can tell that the author finds interesting but doesn't really have much to do with the plot. And there's quite a bit of that in here. I don't know Hanya Yanagihara's background. I imagine she went to law school or something, but the relationship between morality and ethics and the law is talked about a lot in here. As well as like there was a little part about pure math, which I think that when I read this the first time, I just like fuck it, like whatever, I'm just gonna skip over that stuff. But now I'm actually reading it and like trying to understand it. But I also just checked my Goodreads and I want to read some of the comments on my post about like starting, like this one. Ooh, sorry, my phone's plugged in. Can you read? Sorry, I don't know how to get this. Sorry, I'm like really good. I just tried to focus my camera by tapping my phone screen. Alexia says, again, that's sadistic. Meds says, girl, ... Rokio or Rocio just says, damn. Anna says, let the depression begin. Yeah. Natalie just says, this is a cry for help. Marla wrote, you okay though? Marina just says, oh, ... So I'm just gonna read for a little bit longer and see maybe if I can make it to... I would love to make it to page 400 tonight. I don't think that's very realistic.
JB had chosen to remain friendly with were largely unimpressed with who he had become, as much as he could be said to have become.
So I just finished part... Me blanking on reading Norman Ruminals. What the fuck? Roman numeral. I just finished part 3. It was called Vanities, which I don't really know what that actually means. I don't know why it was called that. I actually listened to most of it on audiobook on my walk this morning, but it's not my favorite. There wasn't really much that happened. One of the main characters, who honestly is by far my least favorite, he got addicted to meth. So, but I'm about to start part 4, which is the axiom of equality. This is the one that I've been dreading. I think without a doubt, Jude's childhood is the most upsetting part. And throughout the book, we've been given little bits and pieces of his childhood, which is all like, all of it is devastating. But this part, we dive much deeper into Jude's childhood, to the most traumatizing part of his life. And I've been dreading this the entire time. But it isn't super long, so I'm just gonna try to read it all right now and just get it out of the way. Because once I get over this hump, I was about to say it'll be smooth sailing, but I know it will not. Oh. Forgot to plug it in. I need a hat. So it's the next day. Last night I know I said that I wanted to complete the axiom of equality, part 4 it was. And I read about 40 pages, and then a character that I had completely forgot existed within this world was introduced. He is just so evil and infuriating. He's written so well. Oh god, he's awful. Just really the worst. And I said, this is too much. It's too stressful. And I already knew what was coming. So it's the next day. This morning, well, I think it's pretty apparent that I've been on a crazy fucking sleep schedule. Just a very unhealthy sleep schedule. So today I decided to make a difference. So last night I set my alarm for bright and early at 2 p.m.
What?
And I woke up today at 2 p.m. and I just completed part 4. And wow, yeah, it's gotta be the worst of the worst. From what I remember, it isn't gonna get much worse than that.
Clap if you think she should suffer.
This part is split up into 3 chapters. The first chapter deals with just a horrifically awful, disgusting, abusive relationship that is just so graphic. Then it jumps right into the second chapter, which is about a baby getting sick and dying.
Oh, Lord.
And then from there, it seamlessly glides into chapter 3, which I like can't even say what it's about. Whatever you can imagine, the worst of the most evil, vile things that an adult can do to a child, it's that. It's that. Pizzagate vibes. It's like, it's Pizzagate. Think Pizzagate. It's that. Which, I'll be honest, I didn't read. I started reading it and I just... Yeah, I said, I experienced this once. I don't need to experience it again. So I just skipped it. I really don't know what to feel. Like, I don't know I can't conceptualize. I really don't know if I'm enjoying my time with this or what. I know before this part, I I was. The entire time though, I was dreading the axiom of equality. And now that I've completed it, I feel relieved, but also like I've just got a bad taste in my mouth. And just, it's sick. It's like sickening what that part, it's sick. It makes you feel sick. Stomach churning. I think what I've realized, this book is just so, this is gonna sound crazy. It's almost funny. Like, it's so melodramatic. It's theatrical, which makes sense because recently I believe this was turned into a play. And dare I say, and I know this word is used so wrong on the internet. I'm not claiming to know I know how to use it, but it's camp. Like, this book looks camp directly in the eye. It's starting to remind me a lot of like a soap opera. My mom, my entire life, has been a big fan of Young and the Restless, which most of you are probably like, my grandma is a big fan of that. Or my great-grandma, or my great-great-great-great-grandma is. And throughout the years, I've been subjected to it too. And it is just like one thing after the other of the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard. And when you're like, okay, this has gotta be enough. Like, this has gotta be where it ends. It just is pushed further. And a big gripe that a lot of people have with this book, this is quite the controversial and polarizing book. People either love it or they hate it. The people that hate it, I often hear it say that it's trauma porn. It forsakes narrative and replaces it with just trauma, which I fully see. I can fully see that. And if there is a line, I would say this book definitely does cross it, especially the part that I just read. But at the same time, I do think there is something kind of remarkable about a book that can evoke so much emotion and also refuses narrative and says, fuck it, this is the reality of things. I think that there's something kind of cathartic and even refreshing about a book like this that doesn't wrap everything up in a tight little bow. A book that is just drenched in hopelessness from pretty much the beginning to the end. I think that being able to sit in that feeling of hopelessness and reflect, I think especially now with everything that's going on in the world, I think hopeless is exactly the word to describe the times that we're living in right now. And a book like this that offers absolutely no hope, there is something that's kind of refreshing about it. And as I said, it is over the top, but like, is it? Like, I'm sure that there are people out there who have experienced what Jude has experienced. And there are people that have experienced worse. And I think that learning about Jude and experiencing his life with him, it's very interesting to me at least, how somebody could realistically respond to horrific abuse and how that abuse and trauma manifests from childhood into adulthood. And seeing this character who's constantly in a state of fight or flight, yet constantly we're reminded about his humanity and we're watching him try and try and try and try over and over and over again, but he never seems to get there. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. Like, I don't know about this book. I don't know. I suppose we'll just keep reading. So I just finished The Happy Years. What? And I got it. That part is by far my favorite part in the entire book. It's written perfectly. It's still horrifically devastating. But when I first read that, especially, well, the end of that part, it's so shocking and it's so devastating. And it's like, really? Like, it just shows how strategic Hanya Yanagihara was when she wrote this, because to finish that part, building up to that, there isn't even a build up to it. It's just like, everything's good, and then boom, and you're like, oh, well, that's the worst thing that could have ever possibly actually happened. Actually, that's the thing that ever imaginable of the world could have happened, and it happened just now. Alright. So I'm now on part 6, Dear Comrade, meaning I've got about 100 pages left. Yeah, I'm dreading them. I gotta say I'm dreading them. I'm planning on finishing it today, but right now it is 3:45. Bitch, this fucking weather. This weather's pissing me off. This is my least favorite weather. It's sunny, blue skies. It's so deceiving because you wake up and you look at the window and oh my god. And then you step outside and it's -12. It's -12. But with the wind, it feels like -20. And this morning I did try to leave my, well, at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock this morning. I did try to leave in my car. I couldn't unlock, the locks were frozen shut. But I would like to get outside today. I think that would be good for me. I need some fresh air after experiencing that and to prepare myself for what is to come. So I'm gonna change back into the clothes that I was wearing earlier today. I'm gonna boil some water and pour it over the lock on my car door. And hopefully I can go somewhere to like watch the sunset or something. I don't know. Ah, my hips! I feel like Jude. I know that looked like that was fake. In the industry, we would call that a pratfall, but unfortunately that was real. Look at my sweater though. Yeah, it's all inside. This is all inside. Fuck! This is torture. I'm using Wawa. So I just finished Dear Comrade Part 6. Oh, I was so close. I got so close to sobbing. So the end there with what she did with the like coming back, like letting him be like let him heal his inner child. I don't remember this part being this sad, but this damn, the structure, man, read it, like, the structure of this fucking book. She knew what she was doing. She knew what she was doing. Because it's just highs, well, no. It's like middles and then just low. And the middles are just so sweet. And those parts are just written in just such a sweet and pure and innocent way that it just sucks you in. And you're like, oh, like this is, everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be all right. Even though I've read this, I know it's not. But it just gets you there and then just, it shits in your face. It pulls down its bloodstained underwear and just shits all over your face. I need this to be done. Right now. This is ruining my life. I've got like 15 pages left and I know exactly how it ends. But without further ado, let's just conquer these last couple pages.
Did not do it for you.
Oh. Holy shit. Holy fuck. Oh no. Oh no. Oh fuck. I didn't think that would actually gonna work. I just turned off the fucking color. Oh fuck. I didn't think that would actually I didn't think that was gonna fucking work. Holy shit, I turned off the fucking color. Is this like local or like everywhere is like this now? Oh my god. I turned off the fucking color. I'm done. I finished it. And I thought that we would do this last bit in black and white. Just for... it's like, that's like the vibe. I don't know. And I want to keep this brief because honestly, I'm done. I'm done. I'm over it. I'm so over it. I don't even want to be touching this. Like it feels... Ugh. It's just full of... Ugh. It's... So I'm glad I reread it. I'm very happy to have reread it. I think that I got a lot from it, but my message to Shawn in 3.5 years or whenever in the future, put that down. Don't even think about rereading this again. You don't need to do it. You don't need to put yourself through that. Don't. Just don't. I didn't end up crying. I got pretty close. Instead, what I felt all week was just dread. And it's a very familiar feeling. I felt this the first time I read this book, which this entire week I just felt like a lump in my throat. My bones feel dense and heavy. My stomach is in a knot. And it's because, well, the weather, and I haven't been working out or eating right, and I've been smoking a whole bunch of weed. But this has just exacerbated all of that. It's really sad. It's devastating. I don't know. It fills me with so much darkness and gloom. And I've got to say, like, looking back, I hated this experience. This is such a good book. Like, it is so good. It's evil, I think. I think this might be evil. What I will say is, the second time reading it, very different experience. I feel like the first time reading it, so much of my brain power went to figuring out this character and why he is the way he is. And then throughout the book, discovering why he is the way he is. But since I already did that work the first time reading it, I would definitely say that this was a more enjoyable experience, even though I just said that I hated the experience. I don't know. I think what I've really realized upon rereading this, I have so much love for Jude and Willem. And I found myself, and this is gonna sound fucking crazy, because it kind of is. I don't think there is a character that I relate to as much as I relate to Jude. Which, let me be clear, like, not in experience, but in feeling. I think that the power of affirmation is so strong, and I feel like everybody has experienced a feeling that is abstract and I think often dark, that is just put into words so perfectly, and it just feels like a relief. And I think that for me, this is what so much of this book is just one after the other, these feelings that I felt mainly when I was a kid and a teenager. Now I'm slaying mentally and killing life. But yeah, I think that's all I'll say. This is an incredible book. It's written so well, and the characters are so, in my opinion, lifelike. And it takes you on this journey of ups and downs and highs and lows and lows and lows and lows and lows. So yeah, thank you for watching. Do not read this unless you want to. I don't know. Unless you're prepared to feel darkness from the moment you started to the moment you finish it, which is fun. Sometimes wallowing in self-pity is fun, and you can learn a lot from it. I think I've learned too much from it, but I will see you next time. Bye. Bye. I think I like this little life.